Damascus last night echoed to the sound of anti-aircraft fire as Syrian air defences tried to shoot down Israeli missiles. They've had plenty of practice recently, but they still didn't have much effect.
It is clear that Israel wanted to send a very clear message to Iran. There was a mistake that Israel committed after 2000, when Israel withdrew from Lebanon, and Iran used this in order to build the state within the state, to increase and certainly strengthen Hezbollah, and Israel is not going to repeat the same mistake in Syria.
Israel's argument is that an attempted Iranian drone strike in February using a stealthy unmanned aircraft showed that new red lines needed to be drawn. It was shot down, but as this footage demonstrated, packed with explosive. But why should the Iranians accept last night's onslaught? Isn't retaliation inevitable?
Iran regards its presence in Syria as crucial for maintaining its influence in the Levant, and therefore it does not see any option beyond staying in Syria and supporting the current regime of Bashar al-Assad, which means maintaining its forces on the ground. As things stand, it is highly likely that Iran will continue to provoke Israel into responding militarily in Syria. But that doesn't mean that Iran is interested in launching a full-out war on Israel or vice versa.
The Israelis say they bombed more than 50 targets in Syria. How did they manage it with the powerful air defences there? Well, the places they hit were all in the southeast of Syria. If we superimpose 50 or 100 kilometre range arcs for Israeli fighters, you can see that the mission could be accomplished using air-launched missiles and largely without leaving Israeli airspace. As for Russia's powerful air defences in Syria, those appear to have been neutralised by diplomatic means.
I'm sure that on the one hand, Prime Minister Netanyahu made it clear to the Russians that we will not tolerate Iranian strategic ambitions in Syria. And I'm sure that Putin explained to Netanyahu what are the limitations on the Israeli activities from his point of view.
Such is the importance of these understandings that Mr. Netanyahu was in Moscow yesterday, close to President Putin at the annual Victory Day parade. That sent a message to Iran also about the limits of Russia's support in a new age of multipolarity. Iran, Israel, Turkey and Russia are locked in an intense battle in Syria. It's almost 19th century in its ruthlessness and the way that realpolitik is being exploited. And right now, because Iran is on the back foot over the nuclear deal, any large-scale military action by them would be inopportune at this moment. Russia and Israel are taking advantage of that.
Although Iran and Russia are allied in Syria, the alliance is only a pragmatic one, and Russia wants to keep the upper hand in this relationship and actually doesn't mind if Iran every now and then feels pressured, for example, from the Israelis inside Syria. And this has sometimes resulted in Russia feeding intelligence about Iranian presence in Syria to Israel, which has gone ahead and attacked these Iranian targets. And this is all because Russia wants to be stronger than Iran in the Syrian conflict.
Israeli troops occupying the Golan Heights had been braced for retaliation. But it may not come soon. Even so, Iranian leaders have promised to avenge previous strikes, so the lull may be temporary.